What happens when the man who raised you becomes a stranger in your own home? Emily Carter, 17 and fierce, stood in the kitchen of her childhood home in suburban Ohio, staring at a letter that felt like a betrayal. Her father, Tom, had always been a rock-gruff but kind, the kind of dad who'd fix her bike at midnight or cheer loudest at her soccer games. But now, 6 months after his whirlwind marriage to Lila, a woman half his age, everything had changed. The letter, in his familiar scrawl, wasn't an apology or an explanation. It was a threat. I'm done supporting you and your sister. Lila and I are starting fresh. You're on your own. Emily's hands trembled as she reread the words. Her younger sister, Sophie, only 12, was upstairs, oblivious, humming to her favorite song. Their mother had passed away 3 years ago, a slow battle with cancer that left them clinging to Tom for stability. He'd been their anchor, or so Emily thought. But Lila's arrival, blonde, glamorous, and dripping with charm, had shifted everything. Tom, at 45, seemed bewitched, paying off Lila's massive credit card debt within weeks of their courthouse wedding. Emily didn't care about the money then. She just wanted her dad back. Now, this letter made it clear. He was choosing Lila over them. The kitchen clock ticked loudly, each second a reminder of the life slipping away. Emily remembered the nights she'd spent helping Tom balance the family budget after Mom's medical bills piled up. She'd skipped school dances to work part-time at the diner, saving for Sophie's art classes. And now, Tom was abandoning them for a woman who'd never even asked about their lives. Emily's chest tightened with anger, but beneath it a deeper ache. Loss. She wasn't just losing her dad. She was losing the family she'd fought to hold together. The next morning, Emily confronted Tom in the living room. He sat on the couch, Lila draped across his lap, her manicured nails tracing his arm. The sight made Emily's stomach churn. "Dad, what is this?" she demanded, holding up the letter. Her voice cracked, but she stood tall, her brown eyes blazing. Tom barely looked up. "It's exactly what it says, Em. I've given you enough. Lila, and I need to focus on our future." Lila smirked, her lips glossy, saying nothing. Emily's heart pounded. "What about Sophie? She's 12. You're her dad." Tom's face hardened. "You're both old enough to figure it out. I did my part." Emily stormed out, the door slamming behind her. She needed air, space, anything to stop the world from spinning. Outside, the autumn leaves crunched under her sneakers as she walked to the park where she and Tom used to play catch. She sat on a bench, clutching a faded family photo of her, Sophie, Mom, and Dad, laughing at a picnic years ago. Tears stung her eyes. How had it come to this? Enter Mrs. Harper, the twist in Emily's story. The elderly librarian, who'd known Emily since she was a toddler, spotted her on the bench. Mrs. Harper, with her silver hair and sharp eyes, wasn't just a librarian. She was a retired lawyer who'd quietly watched over the Carter kids since their mother's death. "Emily, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice gentle but firm. Emily hesitated, then spilled everything: the letter, Lila, Tom's betrayal. Mrs. Harper listened, her face unreadable, then said, "Your father's not himself, but you're stronger than you know. Let me help." Mrs. Harper revealed she'd been working pro bono on cases for families in crisis. She offered to look into Tom's financial decisions, suspecting Lila's influence might be more calculated than it seemed. Emily, wary but desperate, agreed. Over the next week, Mrs. Harper dug into public records and found something shocking. Lila had a history of targeting older men, draining their savings before vanishing. Tom wasn't her first husband, was her third. The debt he paid off? Mostly from shady loans tied to Lila's past. Emily's mind reeled. Her dad wasn't just infatuated, he was being manipulated. Armed with this, Emily faced a choice: confront Tom again or protect Sophie first. She chose Sophie. She started working extra shifts at the diner, saving every penny for her sister's future. But the weight of it all, school, work, and now this secret about Lila threatened to crush her. One night, Sophie caught Emily crying over a stack of bills. "Why's Dad doing this?" Sophie asked, her voice small. Emily hugged her tightly. "I don't know, sophomore, but I'll never leave you." It was a promise she meant with every fiber of her being. Mrs. Harper arranged a meeting with Tom, insisting Emily be there. In a small coffee shop, away from Lila's influence, Mrs. Harper laid out the evidence. Lila's past, the questionable loans, the pattern. Tom's face paled, but his jaw clenched. "You don't understand her like I do," he said, but his voice wavered. Emily, heart pounding, spoke up. "Dad, I don't care about Lila. I care about you. And Sophie. We're family. Don't throw us away." For the first time in months, Tom's eyes met hers, and she saw a flicker of the man who'd once carried her on his shoulders. Days turned into weeks, and Tom didn't leave Lila immediately. But the confrontation planted a seed. He started calling Emily, asking about Sophie, small gestures that felt like cracks in Lila's spell. Emily, meanwhile, leaned on Mrs. Harper, who became a mentor, teaching her about resilience and legal options to secure Sophie's future. Emily enrolled in community college, studying at night, determined to build a stable life for her sister. The climax came unexpectedly. One evening, Tom showed up at the house alone, his eyes red. "I was wrong," he said, voice breaking. Lila had left him after he questioned her about the loans, taking half his savings. But the real blow was realizing what he'd done to his daughters. "I don't know if you can forgive me," he said, "but I want to try." Emily didn't forgive him right away. Trust was a long road, but she let him hug Sophie, who sobbed into his chest. The story doesn't end with a perfect bow. Tom moved back home, but the scars remained. Emily kept working, kept studying, kept protecting Sophie. Mrs. Harper stayed in their lives, a quiet hero who'd shifted the tide. The experience taught Emily something profound. Family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up when the world falls apart. And sometimes it's about fighting for those you love, even when they've lost their way. In the end, Emily stood taller, not because her dad came back, but because she found her own strength. She framed that old family photo, a reminder of what they'd survived. As she tucked Sophie into bed one night, her sister whispered, "You're my hero, Em." Emily smiled, her heart full despite the cracks. She'd carried them through, and that was enough.